Okay, what you are about to watch is my interview with Shirtaloon, the author of He Who Fights with Monsters. Now, I'm about to look very serious and very focused and very well put together, and it is a lie because I was fangirling for the entirety of the 2-hour interview. Now, don't worry, I cut it down. It's not fully 2 hours because that would be a little too long, but I just want you to know this was such a fun conversation. I hope you had fun. I sure did. Travis is such a cool dude. It was such a pleasure to meet with him and talk to him and ask him your questions. So I think it's time we just dive right in. Let's go. "12 books, over 100 million Kindle Unlimited pages read, and a health scare that almost ended everything." Today I'm sitting down with Travis Deverell, better known as Shirtaloon, the Australian author behind He Who Fights with Monsters, one of the most successful progression fantasy series on the planet. Within 4 years, he had a staggeringly successful Patreon, a deal with Podium for the audiobooks narrated by Heath Miller, and a fan base that genuinely cares about this world that he has built. Now, throughout the interview, I'm going to be sharing some fun facts about Travis and his series, so make sure to stay tuned for those and make it all the way to the end to get all of those fun facts, because there are a lot of them, and even though this is a long interview, I think you're going to be captivated the whole way through. If you're new here, I am Boyce. I make videos about fantasy books, first looks, deep dives, author interviews, recommendations, etc., to help you figure out what's worth your time and what deserves to be on your TBR. Picking the questions was a little hard because I wanted to make sure that I not only got really, really great questions that were new and refreshing, but I also wanted to make sure that you felt heard and that your questions were asked. So it was a little tough getting all of them in, but I hope you enjoy it because I did my best. Now, some of my questions are combined from a few different ones that were kind of Frankenstein together. So thank you again to everyone who contributed. I had such a great time reading through your questions and discussions. So Jason's essence combination, dark, blood, and sin, is pretty unusual. Sin is so rare, most adventurers don't even know it exists. If he had ended up with a different combo at the start, how differently do you think the story and his personality would have developed?
I guess it's a complex question in a lot of ways, given, the interplay between how the essences affect personality and stuff like that. But it's not something I've really considered that much because one of the, sort of building blocks for the series was, like a good guy with evil powers. So it was always meant to be that way. It was always meant to be, dark, grim, gross, violent, while he was, trying to be a good person. And that's, ties into, the sort of central theme of the book. That's the title, He Who Fights with Monsters, from the Nietzsche quote. It's about not letting, power and the actions you have to take change you in too much of a negative way. And, his powers affect that, because they really are sort of fundamental to how I built him as a character. Because once, his powers start developing, there's actually kind of a narrative in the way he fights, where he's got all these powers, like, about sin, and then it sort of flips and it becomes penance. So basically, his fight is a narrative where his enemies essentially sin against him, and he purges them sort of Old Testament style, letting them face penance through, death, as it were.
Nice and grim and dark.
And the whole point is, he's very much not that character at the start. And a lot of it is his struggle to not become what his powers paint him as.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I love that struggle between who you are and who everyone else thinks you are, who everyone else thinks you'll become. That's really fun. Mm-hmm. So what are some of your favorite books, shows, games, etc., that have influenced the story? I mean, are there any that readers might not expect?
Jason himself, draws very heavily from two characters. One's John Crichton from Farscape,
Okay.
who's a character who's not exactly isekai, but I mean, he goes through a portal and ends up in what's essentially a different world. So yeah, he's kind of,
Pretty
and
isekai.
it's pretty isekai, and the way he sort of relies on pop culture to sort of keep himself grounded, even though he's, making all these references that, people just don't understand, and he doesn't care because it's not really about them, it's about him.
Yeah.
That's, very heavily lifted into Jason. The other big influence is the character of Miles Vorkosigan from the Vorkosigan saga of novels. It's a sci-fi series by Lois McMaster Bujold. Some of my favorite books. And yeah, this is a character who, unlike Jason, he doesn't have physical prowess. He's actually essentially disabled from birth, and that forces him to be, clever and charismatic in how he approaches stuff. Like, he's the kind of character who he gets captured by a woman who knows him and what he's like. So, and she tells the people who are taking him away to a brig, it's like, don't let him talk. If he says a single friggin' word, shoot him. And they go off, and like a chapter later, he's just talked his way into taking over the entire friggin' ship. So,
I mean, that's God level charisma, man.
yeah, no, it's a fantastic series and a fantastic character. I wish I could write like that. It was, yeah, but yeah, I'd say they're the two biggest influences on this. I mean, other than that, it's lots of things like sort of my core premise started from a few kernel of ideas. One being the whole good guy with evil powers. Another one being what happens when Gandalf meets Crocodile Dundee.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make use of, like, isekai is like the ultimate narrative tool for culture clash.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of not using that is a huge waste. And has a lot of potential for drama and comedy. So I wanted to explore that. But aside from that, it's, like lots of bits and pieces. Like, there's tons of references to, old 80s TV action and all that sort of thing. So stylistically, my narrative style is very dialogue heavy. And from that, I draw from people who write film and TV, like...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It feels, when it's dialogue heavy, it feels more like a movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of like Aaron Sorkin, Joss Whedon kind of influence there, for good or ill. Yeah, I was disappointed to find out that Joss Whedon sucked super hard. And there's a lot of people who criticize like his sort of style and approach, and there is a lot of that in what I do. So.
When you say criticize style approach, you mean people talk a lot about how your story can be polarizing?
Yeah, more like, sort of the Whedonification, I believe is the word they use, of
okay.
Of how subsequent things have approached dialogue, and so many things try to sound like Buffy, and
Oh, okay.
All
right.
Personally, I really like the whole Marvel quippy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because like a lot of my stuff has a kind of Marvel-esque feel to it. Because, and that's not accidental, not that I'm trying to ape Marvel, but I am trying to write like essentially, the book form of popcorn entertainment.
Yeah.
Like that's explicitly what I'm going for. I'm not trying to write some, deep literary work here. I'm trying to, have it fun and entertaining while still having, amounts of pathos and stuff. But obviously, it's a very comedic series, for the most part.
Yeah. And that's in all my research of the story and the character, and I've been researching it a lot to prepare for the interview. That was what I was saying. And it feels so when it comes to the polarization, I'm kind of going off script here. You said before that that's what you wanted. So why did you want it to be a polarizing story that people either love it or hate it? Or is that just your approach to storytelling?
That's just my approach to storytelling. Because nobody's going to love it if nobody hates it.
Fair.
So I would rather be, I would rather be the author of something that is someone's absolute favorite book, but someone else's most hated book, than, be on someone's bookshelf and have them say, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's
the
good.
meh almost hurts more.
I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather have someone absolutely adore it or absolutely loathe it than just be fine with it.
Yeah.
And that's, just a personal preference. So.
Do you have a favorite 1-star review? Someone called me an edgelord once, and I'm like, that's my favorite. I love that.
I do recall a comment. Because my protagonist was an atheist. That goes away pretty quick once he meets gods.
That'll do it.
It's only about 40 chapters in or something. But that sparked an atheist debate in the Royal Road comment section.
Yay!
And I do remember someone saying that all atheists are secretly Chinese assassins. And I don't know if he was trolling or a loon, but I found it hilarious.
You know what? Going with loon is more fun, so let's go with that.
Yeah.
I choose to believe he really, really believes that. Okay.
Yeah, it's terrifying stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I don't read reviews anymore, really. Mm-hmm. I did at the start, because I think there's a lot to be gained from negative reviews. Mm-hmm. As long as they're, saying why they don't like it. Like, it doesn't even have to be that constructive. If they just say why, then it can be helpful. You can go, yeah, I think that's fair, or no, that kind of misses the point of what I was going for, or whatever it happens to be. Yeah. But I think you can definitely get better from negative reviews more than positive reviews, but positive reviews make you feel better.
Yeah, for sure. They're very good for the ego.
Yeah, and but it tends to be the negative reviews that stick with you, I think.
That's human nature,
Yeah, but there's only so many you can read before it just gets too much.
Yeah. And especially with the level of, like, you have what, 22,000 on Amazon alone? It's not like you can go through all of those.
No.
Fun fact number 1. Travis knows Jason is polarizing, and he is totally fine with it. Okay, so if you've read He Who Fights, or even just looked at the reviews, you know that Jason is kind of a lot, especially in the early books. He's sarcastic, he's self-righteous, he monologues, and a lot of readers bounce off him hard. Here's the thing. Travis knows. In interviews, he's talked about how Jason is far from a perfect character. He has a lot of flaws, and those flaws turn some people off. He's said his Royal Road reviews tend to be either, I love the balls off of this, or I hate this guy so much. Not a lot of middle ground. And his response to that is that he's totally fine with it. He actually said he would rather have readers be passionate one way or the other than to just think it's fine. He also described early Jason as based on a younger, more naive version of himself, someone who has strong political opinions but untested principles. So the traits that grate on people weren't accidental. That's who the character is at the start. Whether that's brilliant character work or a frustrating gamble depends on your perspective. But it's not like Travis is sitting there wondering why people find Jason grating. He gets it. All right, let's dive back into the interview. So, which scene or moment in the series hit you the hardest emotionally while you were writing it?
How spoiler are we going to get here? Well, if anyone's watching this, they've probably read the series.
They probably read it, yeah.
I'll
put a big spoilers sign.
Yeah. Well, I did kill off a character sort of late in the series.
Yeah.
A very popular character. That wasn't easy. That wasn't easy to write.
Yeah.
But I think what probably hits me the hardest is the ending of book 7, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Jason's come back from Earth and he's pretty broken emotionally. He's not coping well. Like, he's been away from most of his support network for a long time. His mental health is, but he's just sort of reunited with his best friends. His support network was there and he hasn't seen them ages. But basically there's sort of a magical test of trust to see whether they still sort of blankly just trust him. I'm not selling it very well here. It works a lot better in the chapter.
Well, I mean, you got all the context in the chapter. I get it. Yeah.
But there's just this moment where he realizes that all of his friends still have that trust in him, even with all the because he doesn't trust himself very much at this point.
Yeah.
Like, he understands that he's done a lot of things, he's crossed a lot of lines, and that realization that the people around him still have that trust in him that he doesn't have in himself at that moment. I think I really love the way that just sort of wraps up that book and sort of kicks off his slow, somewhat backsteppy mental health recovery.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the moment where that starts.
It's so important that you have a community that has faith in you when you lose faith in yourself, trust in you when you don't trust yourself. And not everyone is blessed to have that. So I really like that you wove that and that you talk about mental health too in, a pretty gory, violent story. It's really cool the way you blend those.
Yeah, because the idea, the core concept of an isekai is a fairly normal person getting thrown into these crazy situations.
Yeah.
And seeing things, doing things that are outright horrifying. The idea of not exploring trauma in that seems kind of nuts to me. Like, I get that a lot of this genre is just sort of fun adventure stories and they don't want that to be a part of it, and so they excise it. I get that, completely makes sense. But for me, when I'm trying to write, like, I think it's important, like, the more ridiculous the sort of scenario gets, and we're talking fighting monsters, interdimensional thing, magic powers, all of this stuff, it's all very outlandish and fantastical. And I think that makes it even more important to try and have, sort of grounded, authentic characters at the core. And obviously, the situation is going to make things ridiculous for these characters, but I think there has to be a truth to them if people are going to really connect with them.
Yeah, kind of that very similar. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. And I just can't really approach those situations as an author without wanting to explore, the trauma involved in that, because it would have to be such an intrinsic part of what the characters are going through.
Not everybody does. I know you mentioned that, but I think that for a story to really have a soul, you have to go deeper. Even in popcorn fiction, you have to go a little deeper and have those thematic elements and Easter eggs that people can go back through, reread, and find as they read the story again and again.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't want that, and I totally get it. Like, some people, they want escapism, and the whole point of the escape is from all the crappy things that are going on in life.
Yeah.
So what they're not looking for is the crappy things going on in the characters they're trying to use to get away from that life.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't begrudge anyone who is looking for classic escapism. That 100% makes sense to me. I completely get the appeal. It's just not what I want to be writing, and that's fine. And I think to a degree, authors write what it is they want to read. I think part of the drive to be an author is to create the thing that you want to see out in the world that nobody else has put out there yet.
Yeah, or at least your version of it, because every story has been told, but no one's told it the way you can tell it. So that's why it doesn't matter how many millions of books are published, you should still write yours,
Yeah, because, there's a very particular itch that you want to scratch.
Or obsession, or voices in your head that you can't make them shut up.
Okay, we may be veering into some odd personal territory there, but it's fine.
Okay, fun fact number 2. He was terrified it wouldn't work out, and then it exploded. This one got me. Before Travis ever posted a single chapter on He Who Fights, he spent almost 2 years preparing, building the world, refining the magic system, writing a terrible first draft that he threw out and rewrote from scratch. All while unemployed, living on Australian government benefits, with job agencies telling him, yes, we know you're writing your book, that's very adorable, now get a real job. And here's where it gets wild. The week before his Patreon was about to launch, the moment he would find out if any of this would actually work, he had to go to a job interview for an inbound call center at a power company. He's described being terrified at this point. He had spent a year and a half working toward this, and he was about to find out if it was all going to flop massively. If he got offered the job, he'd have to take it or lose his unemployment benefits. And if he took it, he wouldn't have time to write 5 chapters a week. The whole thing would collapse. He went to the interview, totally phoned it in because he didn't actually want the job, and they loved him. They offered him the position. And then, right before he had to accept, his reference fell through and they withdrew the offer. So now he really needed the writing thing to work. His goal was to be living off of writing income within 2 months. It took a day and a half. He got lucky. A major Royal Road reviewer gave him a positive review that put his story at the top of the charts, which pulled in massive readership, and it snowballed from there. But here's the thing. Luck only works if you're prepared. And Travis had spent 2 years getting ready for that moment. He earned it. Okay, let's dive back into the interview. So is there a character that you wrote that you didn't expect to love as much as you do?
Well, I mean, a lot of them, really. Because there's a lot of characters, and, I fall in love with them all a little bit. I would say the one that really took off more than I was expecting to would be Taika. I love Taika, and so do the readers. They absolutely adore him. And he is a terrific character. Like, he's not all that major, but he is, a lot of fun.
Can you talk more about, like, just for somebody hasn't read it yet, who is that character?
Okay, so Taika is a New Zealander. He's when Jason goes back to Earth, he encounters this guy. He works for Jason's uncle, and he sort of works as a driver for Jason for a little bit. and he ends up getting pulled into the magical world and, joining, Jason on his adventures. And yeah, like he's not like a hugely major character, but he ends up, joining Jason and his team.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much to it. He's just a really fun character. I mean, he's just a lot of fun to have on the page. That's really all there is to it.
So when you say he's fun, is it because he's fun to write? He's just funny, or he's just personable and relatable?
All of those things, actually.
Okay.
He is fun to write, but he is a fun character. He's he's very much an homage to sort of like Korg from the Thor films. I don't know if you're familiar with. He's the big guy made out of rocks.
Oh, okay.
From Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like him.
Yeah. Because he's actually named after the director of that film and who voiced him, and yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So he's very much an homage to like that director and that character.
So
because he's a big Maori dude.
He's a big what?
Maori guy.
Oh.
A Maori at the Pacific Islander people native to New Zealand.
Right. Okay. So how did you bring that culture into his character?
Not a lot. Because he's not sort of deeply involved in that. He comes from a lower class criminal background.
Okay.
Like he is actually working as a criminal when Jason meets him. Not, bad one. He's, doing some bouncing work, that sort of thing. But so I guess aside from like the more grounded aspects of him, which I haven't delved too deeply into.
Okay.
I would like to do a side story about some of that later on, but some of the elements have. Are you familiar with the film Once Were Warriors?
Mm-mm.
It's an independent New Zealand film.
Okay.
That was a very big deal when it came out, like quarter of a century ago. But that has a lot of influence on what I wanted for Taika's background, but I've never really delved into that too deeply, simply because it'd be fun, but it's not where the story goes.
Yeah. And your books are already bricks as it is, so
They are.
Someone told me once that my books are so long that you could make a fence out of them because they're like full on bricks.
Yeah.
I was like, thanks. I'm gonna take that as a compliment. That's a compliment. Fun fact number 3. The audiobooks are a big fucking deal. If you've listened to the audiobooks, you know Heath Miller. He's the narrator for the entire series, and there's a reason the first book was named one of Audible's best audiobooks of 2021. This is what I thought was interesting. Travis was actually involved in the casting process. When Podium sent him narrator samples, his first reaction was that American narrators couldn't pull off an authentically Australian protagonist. Then they came back with Heath, who, in Travis's words, came by his Aussie accent honestly. Both Heath and Travis are Australian, which is why Jason actually sounds like a guy from Melbourne instead of an American doing an accent. Travis has called Heath fantastic and clearly knows how much listeners love his work. They've done joint Discord Q&As for audiobook releases, and the fan response has been overwhelming. Readers consistently single out Heath's performance in reviews as one of the reasons they keep coming back to the series. For a 12-book series, that consistency really matters. Heath's been with Jason since chapter 1, and at this point, for a lot of fans, his voice is the voice of the series. All right, so that's the background. Now let's get back into the actual conversation. So without spoilers, should readers be worried about their favorite characters going into the final arc, and how brutal are you going to get with it?
I'm not an advocate of killing characters for the sake of killing characters.
Good.
like, I think there is value in doing so, and I have done it. But also my series has a unconventional relationship with death, like resurrection as a mechanism is sort of deeply integrated into like the story, like the actual entities that the cosmic entities that govern how death works are active characters. So yeah, you know, death and what it means, and you know, the concept of coming back is all there. Like my main character has died a bunch of times.
Fun.
But it's also always a very delicate balancing act when you're bringing people back from the dead.
Yeah.
Because it is so easy to just go, there are no stakes anymore.
Exactly. That's the question I was going to ask. It's like, how do you sustain the stakes when people can come back to life?
Yeah. And a lot of the series is about sort of that balancing act. Who can come back, how they can come back, what the price is, you know. Like, because later in the series, it reaches a point where my protagonist is straight up immortal. Like, can't be killed, just can't.
Awesome.
And then and at that point the stakes become about not about any threat of him actually dying, because I actually don't think the death of a protagonist is a particularly good way to do stakes anyway. Because you're not going to kill off your main character. Like I've seen it done. There's a Ben Elton book that I read many years ago where they just kill off the main character. Like the actual protagonist dies near the end of Act 2 and it just has to go to side characters for the rest of the book. I think it's called Gridlock. But generally your main character is safe.
Yeah.
Like people talk about Game of Thrones as the one where they kill off characters, but they actually don't that much. Like, you know, they did Ned Stark and they do a few others, but yeah, but it's always about, you know, those characters are characters who've reached sort of narrative completion, as it were.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. It's not that they're just killing off willy-nilly. It's because that's as much as they're going to be developed. Okay.
Like, yeah, because my one big major permanent death is very much a matter of narrative completion. This is a character who's, you know, completed his arc. And this sort of, you know, culminates everything about, you know, who he is and what he meant to the story. So, you know, yeah, death is complicated, but yeah, like, because I'm also not bringing people back willy-nilly.
Good.
Like, people do come back, but, you know, not much, and mostly just the main character.
So then there are still stakes with death, because if he's the only one coming back.
But like, yeah, because he's been, you know, he's immortal, but it's all about other people dying or, you know, failing to accomplish goals and that sort of stuff. So, you know, because by that point he's, you know, extremely powerful. He's immortal. So it's, you know, it's about, you know, what he's trying to do. Like he's affecting, you know, nations, worlds. And, you know, so that's what's at stake.
I gotcha. So you take it beyond death to basically other people's futures, lives.
Yeah, because yeah, what good is being immortal if everyone you know dies?
Yeah, horribly.
Like, yeah, like it's not great if you're immortal and all your friends get turned into zombies and then you have to put them down. You're like,
not fun. Not a fun experience. No.
Yeah, because then you get in, you know, I mean, you could do that. You can go into the whole, dark side of immortality. It's pretty well-trod ground.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but like I'm not going to kill people off just because it's a climax.
That's good. I feel like that's really disappointing.
That's
when
not
writers
my
do it.
motivation for killing off characters. I'm not adverse to it, but yeah. It's more about narrative culmination for me rather than, well, it's time to show everyone that things have gotten real.
Pew pew, everyone's dead.
Yeah.
All right. Now I want to get into some of the things I have been curious about. These are questions that came up while I was doing the research for the series and the interview, as well as digging through some reviews. I wanted to know stuff about his creative process, the choices he's made, and a few things I genuinely just want to know the answer to. All right, so let's talk about your world a little bit. I mean, you've built this incredibly detailed magic system. And if you could pull one power or item out of this world and use it in your real life, what would it be and what would you do with it?
Portals.
Okay.
For travel.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, because I don't need to fight monsters. I don't need to do a whole bunch of the stuff that all those powers would do. But, just being able to pop over to Barbados, thumbs up.
That sounds pretty great.
Yeah, no
more jet lag.
Instantaneous travel to anywhere, essentially. That would be, unquestionably what I'd go for.
Yeah, good point.
Because what am I going to get? Something that makes people bleed out their eyes and die when you stab them. That's not helpful for me if I'm just popping down to the supermarket.
So writers talk about characters taking over a scene, and so was there a moment for you where Jason did something that you didn't plan but ended up loving?
No.
Okay, awesome.
No. I understand, like, that concept of, the character getting away from you, but it doesn't. Like, it's not really a thing. You're in control as an author.
Yeah.
Like, and I can see how you get there. Like, you've created a character, you've created a situation, and, when you're putting them together, you realize that the natural consequences of this take it in a direction you didn't expect.
Yeah.
And to a degree, that's great. That sparks new ideas, But if you let it run away with your narrative, that's on you as an author. Like, if it's going awry, then you created the character, you created the circumstance. All of this is under your control. And if it's not doing what you want it to, like, if it's a happy accident and it's, new stuff, then that's great. If it works, if it fits in, like, this is, the joy of the creative process. But if it's taking you in the wrong direction, then you've done something wrong with the character or the situation, and you need to tweak it so it goes where you want. I suppose this comes down to a pantser versus plotter perspective.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Whereas, like, pantsers sort of follow that runaway path the whole time.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm naturally a pantser, but I don't finish books doing that.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
So I have an outline. It's very bare bones, but it gives me a roadmap so that, I can go off and I can, do a little side explore thing. But it always has to come back to where I'm going. Like, it doesn't have to meet exactly my initial plans. That's why I keep it flexible, so I can, sort of weave back and forth. But I have a direction and I need to keep going in that direction in order for my actual plot to happen. Yeah. Otherwise, all the foreshadowing that I put in according to my outline all of a sudden doesn't work.
Doesn't help, yeah.
My character arcs are broken all of a sudden. So, like, it's a balancing act, like, because that's part of some of the purest joy of creativity there, when the ingredients you put in turn into something that you didn't quite expect, but you also have to rein that in. I think. I mean, you don't have to. Maybe you just want to, pants it all the way and go completely mad. If that's the way someone wants to write their book, more power
to them. Who are we to tell them what to do, right? But I see what you're saying. It's important to have a direction.
But you're putting all of these things in place, and you can go back and change things. Like, because I've absolutely had this situation where it's like, okay, well, I've got my characters, I've got my circumstance, and that dictates that the only thing that makes sense is this, and that's wrong. Like, it's fun, like I loved writing it, but it's not where the story needs to go. It doesn't add to my plot. It's a fun aside that doesn't actually add anything. So as much as I love it, it has to go, and then I go back to my ingredients.
Yeah.
And then I rework them so they will go in the direction that I want. It's like, I have to tweak something. Like, maybe it's something about the character, like that it's an opportunity to reveal some aspect of the character that, previously wasn't, that leads it to go in the direction you want. Like, that's a terrific way to add depth to character. Or maybe you just need to tweak your circumstances so it follows the plot you want. But because I've absolutely done quite a lot of writing where it's sort of veered off, especially doing like dialogue with a bunch of characters, where I've just had to go, look, I love it, but like it doesn't do what I needed to do. It doesn't add to the plot. It doesn't really show anything about the character. It's just superfluous, so off it goes.
Yeah, you gotta kill your darlings sometimes.
You do. Yeah, so like it can absolutely happen, but I think, because I've met people who write and they talk about, oh, my characters do whatever they want. It's like, no, you're the author. You created every aspect of this. You have to take responsibility for your story. Like, because nobody else is creating this. They're not real. You made them up. You made up every aspect of them. And if they're doing something you don't want them to do, change them. You have the power.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a bit ranty. We may want to move on to another question.
Fun fact number 4. He scrapped his magic system and started over. Before Travis ever posted a single chapter of He Who Fights, he built a magic system, and then he threw it away. This is something he's talked about in interviews. He spent years developing this world in the back of his head, and when he finally sat down to make it work on the page, he realized his original system was, in his words, completely and utterly unworkable. The problem? He had built this huge, complicated, heavily synergized system, the kind of thing you'd want if you were actually making a game. But he realized that if he used it, the first book would have no plot development at all. It would just be explaining how everything worked. That's when he had what he calls his big revelation. When you're writing lit RPG, you're not making a game. Your system isn't something readers are supposed to be able to game. It's a narrative tool that feels like a game. So he simplified. He stripped it down until the system served the story instead of the story serving the system. And that wasn't the only thing he scrapped. He also mentioned that the first draft of books 1 through 3 were 66 chapters. The final version? 257 chapters. He called that first draft breathtakingly terrible and aggressively bad. He threw it out and rewrote the whole thing from scratch. And I think there's something really reassuring about that. One of the most successful lit RPG series on the planet started with a magic system that didn't work and a first draft that was so bad, the author won't let anyone see it. Travis had to break his own creation apart to rebuild it before any of it worked, and all his effort truly, truly shows in the final product. All right, let's get back into it. So let's talk about Easter eggs. Are there any references, jokes, or world building details buried in the series that a lot of readers haven't caught yet? Or some that you're surprised no one's asked about?
No, like, not really. Like, my readers are pretty good at like digging out the details. Like the Discord's pretty active and pretty big, and so someone will ask, "What does this mean?" Someone will find it. Like, and sometimes I'll put in things like, most of my chapter titles are a quote from the chapter.
Oh, okay, that's fun.
So every time it's not, my readers start asking why. And, you know, usually it's like one was a line from a Michael Jackson song that just really fit thematically with the thing. Another one was, there's a line from Predator.
Okay.
That's like, you know, saying the devil that makes trophies of men. But in Spanish, except in Predator, they actually got the Spanish wrong.
Did they really?
Yeah, and I think I used my chapter title like the actual correct Spanish of that. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I don't actually speak Spanish, so I had to be very careful to make sure I got it right.
Get like 3-4 people to fact check it.
But
all of them are trolling you, and it's secretly wrong.
Yeah, but usually when I do that, it's because it's some sort of thematic link to like that particular chapter with the Predator quote had my main character roaming around like the Predator, taking people out in the jungle.
Ooh, that's a fun scene.
And yeah, and it followed the actual characters as they get picked off one by one, and you basically don't see my protagonist at all.
That sounds so cool. What a great chapter.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to write, but yeah, but no, there's chock full of Easter eggs, but they're really, really good at digging them out. And, you know, I leave like little bits of foreshadowing and that sort of stuff so that when people are going back and they're doing a reread, like I see posts quite a lot. There's like, I just did a reread and I didn't realize this like appeared so early because it's just like a throwaway reference and then it doesn't actually matter for like 100 chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of foreshadowing is so fun because you're like, yes, you got it.
Yes. But no, people are really, really good at digging out. Probably my favorite one is when I first, like my first 3 books doesn't name the world that he goes to. Everyone just calls it the world.
Okay. Because
it's the world they live on, and not a lot of people are really versed in the idea of other worlds. So they just call it the world. So on the Discord, everyone started calling it ball dirt.
Ball dirt?
Ball dirt.
Okay.
So I finally name it once Jason goes back to Earth and, you know, he needs a name for the other world.
Yeah.
And it does have one. But I used, because I hadn't put one in yet, I used Palimustus, which, yeah, and they're like, and you know, when that first came out in the Discord, it's like, no, I don't like it. I'm just going to still call it ball dirt. You know, like when people like Grogu, no, it's Baby Yoda. Shut up.
Yeah, basically. Okay, yeah.
And then someone on the Discord finally realized that Palimustus is Estonian for ball dirt. And well there was much rejoicing. Well done.
That's fantastic. I love that, and I love that people didn't get it right away. That's what makes that But
they caught it like really quick.
Did they?
Yeah, because I'm about to on Patreon do like a very big review. I'm having my great big climax for book 13, which I should have written in like April, but then I got very, very sick.
You have a good reason.
I'm just getting back to writing now, but sort of the end of book 13, I'm sort of doing the revelation of the big bad guy, as it were.
Yeah.
And someone figured it out like 4 years ago.
And you have to just act like, no.
And I saw someone say it on on the Discord, and I'm like, huh. And there was like no reaction to it whatsoever. Like everyone's like, I think it's this. And there was just like no reaction. I'm like, wow, that person's going to be very, very smug in about 5 years.
Vindication.
Yeah. But a lot of people have figured it out by this point because, as it comes up to the thing, I've been, dropping some pretty overt hints, but yeah.
So Jason's personality is so specific. Did you ever experiment with a different version of him early on?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Jason was one of the first things that sort of came into being pretty fully formed. I mentioned before about that whole idea of like one of my core concepts being Crocodile Dundee meets Gandalf.
Yeah.
Well, he is essentially the evolution of that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he was always just going to go in and be this sort of disruptive, force of idiocy. Just
That's
going
a hell of a
around
tagline.
just trying to explain to people who've never seen a car the wax on wax off scene from Karate Kid. So no, Jason Jason was one of the first things to sort of fully coalesce as is, whereas like the world building took a lot more. Like the way I do world building is I'll start with whatever elements I happen to have. In this case, I had my protagonist, I had my magic system, and that was where it really came in, because Jason my protagonist doesn't do a lot to the world building. He's more the thing you throw into it to start breaking things.
Yeah.
I really started off with the system, and then it's like and then I just start asking questions. It's like, okay, so this is, because the system is essentially extra laws of physics almost. They're laws of nature. So it's like, okay, so if this, what does that mean for this? And then that spawns more questions, like, what does having, like, the big ones were things like, what does having vast personal power do to a society? Like, if there's a person who's essentially a walking nuke roaming around, what does that do? Like, and those people exist, and there's stratas of them. How does that affect society? Like, how does that affect how a society builds up? What does that do to civilization? Because there's this big contrast between Earth, where nobody has personal power. It's all collective power. It's your ability to influence other people to do things collectively that makes you powerful. Like, because the president of the United States can't do much, but he can influence the US military to do things, and that's a lot.
Yeah. Whereas
one person in a society who has the power to just go and wipe a country off the map, that has an impact on society going back, through how civilizations are formed and, how society is started, because you have to build a society that can accommodate these sort of living weapons roaming around.
Yeah.
And that's, and it all just comes down to, well, if this, then what? And that just keeps chaining questions. And once I've kind of run out of questions that'll cover the things I need to know for the book, then I'm good. But having done that work in the first place means that if I have another question, then I've already sort of got this structure in place where I sort of, well, if then this, then that. And it becomes the further you go, the easier it becomes to answer world building questions. And then when you take your character and you throw them into the world, and then they start doing stuff, disrupting things, then you've got pretty much the answer to any question you need to answer for what impact does the character have when he starts roaming around doing weird things, because he's, kind of a lunatic and an idiot.
So did you find that you kind of got lost in the weeds in the beginning when you were answering those questions? Like, how did you stop yourself from just like spiraling deep down into way too much like Tolkien-esque detail?
Mostly because I knew sort of what I needed. Like, yeah, like it's really cool if you develop an actual language for your elves or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't need it.
Okay.
So I don't do it.
Oh.
Like, so I guess where I naturally stop is the point where I've got what I need and I know where to go if I need more, but I don't need to go there yet.
Yeah.
And that's trial and error. Like, I was, working on the world building for a very long time before I ever sort of delved into this. It's very similar to if you try to build a massive campaign world from scratch for like a Dungeons and Dragons game or something. Because it's essentially the same thing. There's a reason they call it world building.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really about it's about the biggest lesson I learned doing all of this character creation, world building, all of this stuff is that I'm not, I came to realize I wasn't trying to make a video game. I wasn't trying to make a role-playing game. I wasn't trying to create a campaign to run with my friends for D&D. I was building a narrative. So ultimately, anything I was building was on some level a narrative tool. And once I sort of understood that, that's when I really started reining in all my more tangential impulses, the ones that were taking me places where I didn't need to go. Like the system took me so long. I spent like literal years refining that.
Wow.
Because I was working on system, because even before I was looking to write, I think a lot of people when they start reading Lit RPG go, what would my system look like? And that's kind of really where I started.
That daydream.
And I did a lot of tweaking and a lot of my system is too elaborate now. But back when I was working on it, it was madness. It was absolute utter madness. And I'm like, this would be great if I was trying to make a video game system and the computer could sort out all of this business for you.
Yeah.
I'm writing a book and I have to explain all of this somewhere in the book.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do test chapters, like not even related to, the story I ended up writing at all. It'd be something completely different, complete setting, just to see how this, iterations of the system would play out. And I'm like, well, that's 8 chapters, almost the entirety of which is trying to explain the system so nothing actually happened and the character's still in a cave at the start. Like, no.
Please, good discovery, I guess.
Yeah, that doesn't work. It's these aren't even chapters really. They're just like, the start of the friggin' player's handbook. No.
I mean, with all that content, you could theoretically make sort of a player's handbook if you still have all of it.
But it was sort of the revelation that what I'm building is all on some level a narrative tool. Really helped me rein it all back in.
That's good. I mean, that's a really cool approach to it to keep you from getting lost in the weeds.
Yeah. It took me a while to get there, but it was helpful.
Good. Okay, fun fact number 5. One thing that struck me while I was researching Travis's process. He built the magic system before he built the world. In interviews, he's described how once he had the magic system locked in, he constructed everything else by asking questions. He would look at some element of how the system works and ask, what does that mean for the world? What are the implications? And then those answers would lead to more questions, which would lead to more answers until suddenly he had something that felt cohesive. He said that basically his entire world building process, in a nutshell, just keep asking, what does this mean, until you've got a world that feels integrated. The magic isn't decorative, it shapes everything, and that extends to the characters too. Travis has talked about how each character's powers were designed to reflect who they are. Humphrey is rigid and straightforward, so his abilities are simple and effective, no tricks. Belinda is a thief, so her powers are tricky and versatile. And Jason, his powers are capital E, evil, blood, darkness, sin, and how he wrestles with that is tied directly to his character development. It's not just a system bolted onto a story, the system is part of the storytelling. All right, let's get back into it. So, after years of community interaction, is there a specific piece of fan feedback or headcanon that's really stayed with you? And has it surprised you or changed the way you look at your story?
Not so much. There was one thing, and it was actually my assistant who mentioned this to me. Who made a suggestion that almost had me massively changing everything.
Okay.
So at the end of book 3, my characters are trying to basically stop an interdimensional invasion from happening.
Okay.
And they do. And they put it off for a number of years. It does eventually happen. But basically, they do it and they prevent, the local city from getting wiped out, etc., etc.
Woo.
And basically I says, what if they failed? And I started thinking about what that would do. Like, it had massively changed my story, and it'd do a lot of really interesting things narratively.
Yeah.
And it got me to almost just like rebuild everything else from scratch.
That's a really fun what if question too.
Yeah, because it would have taken the series in a darker direction.
Mm-hmm.
It would have involved killing off some characters in interesting ways, turning characters who were allies into antagonists. And I think there could have been it's an incredibly fun what if scenario that I spent quite a lot of time sort of gaming out.
Yeah.
But ultimately I ended up sticking to my actual plan.
What made you stick with it?
Mostly the fact that I was happy with where it was going as is. Mm-hmm. It would have taken a much more sort of grimdarky kind of direction. And that's not where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Like, I also don't think that's where my skill set as an author lies. Like, there is after that it does get a bit darker for my main character, but it's much more personal. It's personal, sort of mental health based, rather than everything getting really crappy for everyone.
Yeah.
Suddenly everyone's at each other's throat, whereas so much of the theming of my series is about friendship and companionship and support. And it would throw all of that like way off.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's really good that you stuck with that soul, essentially, your soul of the series.
Yeah, basically, like it would be a lot of fun in terms of pure narrative, but it would have just dragged my themes behind the shed, and I would yell at them pretty hard. So
We can't have that.
yeah.
So how are you feeling?
Because I mean, the title of the book is based on that sort of personal struggle with darkness, not a broader one.
Okay, now let's get into some deeper craft questions. Things about how Travis handles specific challenges in the series, from the infamous Earth Arc to the gods to the tonal balancing act he is always pulling up. All right, let's get back into it. So let's talk about the Earth Arc Backlash. Books 4 through 6 take Jason to Earth, and that arc really split your readership. Some really loved it, some hated it. So looking back, is there anything you would do differently, or were you just expecting that polarization going into it?
I wasn't expecting that polarization, but it makes sense in hindsight.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I'd go back and change is the same thing I'd change about all of my series, which is to write it better now that I've got a lot more practice.
Don't we all wish we could do that?
Yes, every writer in the world wishes that. But no, I'm actually quite satisfied with that. Like, you know, beyond the fact that I could, you know, think I could do it better if I went back over, but no, like, and it comes down to those. I was talking about the audience expectation of, like, you know, people wanting that escapism. I think it's the part of the audience that they wanted that escapism. They enjoyed the the fun, magical adventures of the first 3 books, and all of a sudden it's, you know, family drama and
okay, so the conflict
and all of his friends are gone, and he's, you know, becoming increasingly miserable as the people around him just like betray him over and again, and he keeps having to work with them because, you know, he can't not, and he goes into this dark spiral, and I think it's very important for the character, but you're right, it is very polarizing. I've basically had 2 reactions, which is one of which is, this isn't for me, I'm out, and the other being, this elevates the story because it becomes more than just, you know, some guy running around having fun fighting monsters. That's where, you know, it sort of starts because this is where it really starts delving into that core theme that the title alludes to.
Yeah.
Because I mean, by this point, Jason was already like getting what was essentially magic therapy.
Okay, that's fun. Go into that.
Yeah. But when he goes back to Earth, he's not getting that anymore, and he doesn't have his support system. He's got he's got his family around him, but they don't really understand what he's been through or what he's going through now. He's got a couple of people who do, but they've got their own problems. And it's just kind of a sort of a dark spiral as Jason keeps having to do increasingly, you know, grim things in order to do the things that need to be done. You know, it's save the world time, and nobody else is stepping up, even the ones who should be. And by the time he goes back to the magical world, he's pretty broken as a person. Like, he's more powerful than he's ever been, but he's angry and he's lashing out, and the people around him have to sort of stop him from crossing lines. And then, you know, the next sort of books in that sequence are very much about recovery. Like, you know, mental health becomes, you know, a very big part of it as he, you know, slowly gets better and never goes back to what he was, but, you know, starts realizing the parts of himself that he, you know, sort of lost or gave up that he really shouldn't have, and struggles to get them back. And none of that works without that Earth Arc. And the thing is, I was looking for, like, when I was writing the first 3 books, or it became the first 3 books, I was so looking forward to just going back to Earth and doing that stuff. Like, because I actually, especially the 4th book, when he first goes back to Earth and you get to, sort of explore those differences. I absolutely adored writing that, had an absolute ball.
Okay.
I was looking forward to it for ages. And yeah. And that was good because, I was looking forward to it because some of the later books, like I had a pretty big burnout period.
Yeah.
For a while there. I'm much better now. Like, I sort of stopped for a couple of months and, recovered, slowed down my schedule. But this is before that sort of kicked in.
Gotcha. It's so easy to burn out, especially with a long tail series like that. I totally get it.
Yeah. Because I've seen my book referred to as, one of the infinite series, the ones that just keep going. And I'm like, no, it's going to end, goddamn.
I promise it'll end. This is not going on forever.
Yeah, because there's a climactic scene, like probably the climactic scene of the entire series. And I've written it in my head so many times. Mm-hmm. But I've always resisted the urge to put it on the page. Because I know that, there'll be little tweaks and things here and there, but also, I want all of the experience that I've had writing up to that point when I sit down to actually do it.
That's fair.
But yeah, the original question about the Earth Arc, and the Earth Arc is critical. Like I've seen even the people who don't like it saying, yeah, look, I don't like it, but it is essential.
Well, that's good. At least people can acknowledge, like, even if I don't like it, I know it's important to the series. That's good.
Yeah. Like, some people don't like it because, it sort of delves into family drama and, personal responsibility, trauma and stuff. And yeah. Other people don't like it just because it left up behind a lot of characters who don't come back for a few books.
That is rough to do.
I totally understand. And there are some people who don't like it because the numbers don't go up enough. And if I was going to acknowledge one flaw, I would say, I spent way too long sort of... I'm very happy with how it all went, like how it works narratively, but there is a very long stretch where the actual lit RPG element doesn't sort of go... basically the numbers don't go up for a very long time. And I mean, geez, he hits silver rank in book 4, I think, and then he doesn't go up again until about book 11. I mean, those are all major steps, and it's meant to be like a series of years before it happens.
Yeah.
But it just so happens that the books between happen over a relatively short amount of time.
Uh-huh.
Like, there's basically not much in the way of time skips in there.
Yeah.
So it all makes sense that he doesn't go up that much, but yeah.
But that is what a lot of people expect
but
from
it
the
ended
genre.
because that whole sequence ended up taking a lot more writing than I initially anticipated, because it was also when I first did my initial outline, that whole section, like after the Earth Arc leading into what's happening now, was sort of the least developed in my initial outline, so that was where I had the least idea of what would be happening sort of like book to book, as it were.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that was where, if we go back to sort of getting carried away narratively.
Yeah.
And it's not that happened, or I suppose it's more that it just happened on purpose, because I was looking for, well, here's the least developed part of my outline, let's explore what happened. And at that point, I've got everything that came before, and I could just naturally follow that flow. And it ended up being quite, sort of richly detailed, which I have no problem with, but it ended up, being a lot of book for not a lot of numbers going up.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, sometimes that's necessary, and it makes sense that readers found it kind of.
Yeah, although more pushback than anything related to books like the Earth Arc books was when I took away an ability from my main character. Like
How dare!
he gave up a power, and the backlash was astonishing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he didn't need it. Like
it's just the fact that he gave it up.
He lost, because in the span of it, very little, because I knew what was coming next. And ultimately it seems like a big thing in the moment, because when I was doing it, I was wary of. I just like, this has to be a genuine sacrifice. He has to give something up here for it to actually be meaningful.
Yeah.
But I was also aware of the fact that people aren't going to be happy about him giving up anything. I just massively underestimated that, because where I actually came down on it, was like, is this enough? Is he giving up enough here? Because really, most of what he's giving up here is going to be negated very, very, very soon. Like that sacrifice. But no, it was like, no, numbers 2 up, not going down.
Oh man, but gotta love that passion. People are really into the story. They care that much. So
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I look back at what happened, and I'm kind of, I love it.
Suffer.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. It's possible that I enjoy things around my book that maybe I shouldn't. Like, I found out the other day that my first book just got banned in California prisons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, or whatever it is, have banned my book 1.
Did they tell you what? That's
they told me the clause, and it was to do with, like, inciting. Yeah, it feels a bit sketchy to me, to be honest. But
that's kind of sketch. Yeah. Book banning is in general pretty sketch, but that's so specific.
Yeah, and it's like, how exactly is a book about a dude going to a magic world and telling people about Airwolf going to incite prisoners to riot? But sure.
Go California, I guess.
Yeah, he's kind of a, political science 101's kind of, terrible douchebag coffeehouse communist. So maybe it's like, what do you mean fair treatment for people? Nah.
I mean, California is like the last place I would expect a book to be banned.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's prisons. It's a whole different game.
That's true. That's true. Like, I know anything about I would imagine, I guess.
You don't want to know anything about prisons. All right.
Okay. I won't pursue that then. So when you convert Royal Road chapters to published books, how much changes?
Not much.
No.
No. For my next series, I want that to be very different. I want to have much more rigorous, like, revising and editing before it goes to book publication. Because, like, before I wrote this, I went and got an English degree, did a lot of creative writing courses. I was actually doing creative writing honors, like postgraduate work, when I realized, you know what? I'm stalling. Like, I just realized, I am in fact stalling because I'm scared of trying because I might fail.
Well,
so I had a degree, so I stopped my postgraduate work that day.
Okay.
And then started writing.
That's cool.
Yeah. No, my supervisor was very nice about it. She's coming around to play board games next week. That'll be fun.
Fantastic. Which board games?
I don't know. I think we are going to have someone new, so probably something simple.
Okay.
But
Wingspan is always a classic.
I played Wingspan last weekend.
Yeah, I love that game.
Yeah.
Absolutely hooked on it. Yeah.
No, my Wingspan is all like super fancy. I've replaced little cubes with these little bird houses.
Oh, yeah. That's
and
awesome.
I've got like really nice like acrylic tokens for the food, and I've got these actual bird nests to keep the eggs in.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
That sounds awesome.
I love upgrading board games, but
so let's talk about Colin. His familiar is a sanguine horror, a sentient swarm of carrion leeches. Where did that idea come from? And was there a moment where you thought this is too weird, or was that the point?
No, it's not even really my idea. Like the worm that walks. I'm not even sure where it even originates, but the idea of like a swarm of leeches wrapped up into like, wrapped up in bandages with like things falling out. That's not original to me. That's a concept that's already been out there. So he's kind of an existing monster, as it were.
Okay.
But yeah, I just love the idea of this ultra horrifying thing and trying to make it as adorable as possible. Like, it was basically came from, okay, how do I take the most horrifying thing I can conceive of and then and make him the best boy. And because that tied into the whole concept of the good guy with the evil powers.
Yeah, that's true. The gods in your series aren't distant. They show up in town squares, etc. And but there's also this balance system that limits how much they can intervene. So you kind of touched on this already, but do you want to go into anything more about the philosophy of why you built them that way?
Well, the gods and other sort of god level entities become increasingly important to the narrative as it goes on. Like they're by the time you get to the end of the series, Jason is dealing with a lot of them quite directly.
Yeah.
So, I sort of knew that was coming. So I wanted them to be, a presence from early on. In terms of like where they stand world building wise, there were a few things I wanted. One, there's like different kinds of sort of cosmic level entities. Like one's, sort of out in the wild cosmos and doesn't deal with people day to day, whereas gods, they're dealing with things like time and some really fundamental forces. And then the gods are dealing with things like trade or the ocean, that sort of thing. Where I wanted gods to be was I wanted them to have like a certain amount of influence and power, but I didn't want them to be able to fix all the problems or cause all the problems.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to have them as characters, then they need to have boundaries.
Yeah.
And the way I tried to position them was so they operate much like natural forces. So it's like a sailor who has to deal with the ocean, like, the weather, all the things about the ocean from, tidal waves to, well, whatever. It's, this incredibly
I'm sorry,
powerful
I gotta
force.
turn this light off. It keeps flickering.
Yeah.
So my light's gonna get weird, but I don't want it
like,
to
so, yeah. But to a sailor, the ocean is an incredibly powerful force that they can't do anything about. All they can do is sort of navigate it to the best of their ability according to the rules by which the ocean operates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how people have to deal with gods. And that's sort of what I was aiming for, because if gods can do anything to anyone, then you don't really have free will as such.
Yeah, it takes away a lot of agency to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, basically the agency of mortality was a balancing act, but one I went into very deliberately, because it's a theme I knew I wanted to explore, especially sort of later in the book, where Jason reaches power levels where, he's sort of transitioning from one side of that equation to the other, where he goes from being a mortal subject to all of these powers, to becoming slowly one of these powers, and how his ability to influence, and where does he stop and where does he draw the line, and how does he choose to navigate that. That's sort of a big theme of especially book 13.
Cool. I bet everyone's really excited for that. Everyone's really happy that you're writing again.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to start getting chapters back out starting next month.
It's exciting.
Yeah, so this month is largely going to be about me sitting down and getting words on the page again. It's going well, but I'm still very much kicking the rust off at this stage.
Yeah, but you've been out for a while, so it only makes sense. And you can't push yourself too hard or you're just going to burn out.
Yeah, but it feels really good to be back, because, when you haven't written for so long.
Yeah.
But, I just sit down in front of my computer, and then half an hour later, be like, yeah, I need to go lie down for like 4 hours.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, recovery was slow and pretty awful. And having, the thing come back right when I'm about to get back to writing again.
That was terrible.
That sucked.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to share with people?
No, I think I'm pretty all right.
Okay.
I don't have a message to the world, as it were.
You don't have some kind of opus you want to share? Some kind of epic delivery speech for the end of the interview? Get on a pedestal?
I don't know. Hardcovers available for pre-order?
Go buy the hardcovers. Where can people buy them?
Barnes and Noble are actually getting an early release edition.
Ooh. Is it going to have like a special cover, or is it just early access?
I don't know at this point. I think it's just early access.
That's cool.
For that one. But they're getting it, I think, 2 months before the official release date in July. So
nice.
Yeah, so that pops out sometime in May, I think. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, that's coming up. I'll make sure the interview is out before then.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really wonderful getting to know you and chatting with you.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, you take care and get lots of rest and have fun writing.
Okay, thank you. You as well.
Okay, that was a long one, but oh my God, that was so much fun, wasn't it? That was Travis Deverell, aka Shirtaloon. I want to thank him for taking the time to sit down with me, especially given everything he's been dealing with on the health front. It means a lot to me that he was able to be so open about his process, his recovery, and where he's taking the series. If you want to check out He Who Fights with Monsters, I will drop links in the description. Book 1 is available on Kindle Unlimited, and I also have a first look of the book 1 as well as the series overview. So if you want to watch those videos, I'm going to go ahead and throw those up at the end of this video to see if this is something that's really going to gel with you, and if this is a series you're going to really enjoy. The audiobooks narrated by Heath Miller are also on Audible. Fair warning, there are 12 books out right now, so clear your schedule. If you're already a fan, let me know in the comments what you thought of this conversation. Did you learn anything new? Did we cover everything you wanted to hear? Is there something you wish I had asked? I read all of your comments, and your feedback helps me make both these interviews and my channel better. If you're new here, I am Boyce. I make videos about fantasy books, first looks, deep dives, author interviews, recommendations, etc. to help you figure out what's worth your time and what deserves to be on your TBR. If that sounds useful, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.